Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Natalie Hughes. I am a psychic medium. I am also a life mindset and manifestation coach. And I'm taking a really long time to get through with the introduction because I'm putting my healing frequency music on. So, as that loads and gets settled in my ears, I just wanted to start off today's video with a bit of house cleaning. This is technically going to be a part two to the first part of us talking about election astrology, the astrology of the United States. In today's video, we're going to be going from 1776 all the way through to 2025. And we're really talking about energy. We're looking at energetic patterns, things that I've observed, things that I know to be true, and where the future of this country is genuinely and authentically going. I'm super duper excited about this. I just want it to be as quick as possible. So I've got my music going and I have to do a stopwatch because I'm just doing a screen record today. So I just need to be mindful and demure about the amount of time that we take here. Okay, so first things first, what I want to talk about is a comment that was left under the part one video. The comment reads, I study Vedic astrology and I knew Trump was going to win because Jupiter is in his 10th house and he is in Jupiter Dasha, meaning Jupiter's transit take precedence in his life. Camilla, I don't know who Camilla is in her Rahu Ketu Dasha, which is hella hard. She is also in a hard Saturn cycle. It is more favorable for him. Obviously, look at the voting map, as that Jupiter in 10th directly has to do with reputation and the public eye. Jupiter won it for him! Exclamation point. Okay. I actually recorded a response to this. And then that recording ended up getting cut off as I got further into the thing. And it really helped me to reflect and understand. I want this to be short. I don't want this to take up so much time. So my response to this is, first things first, her name is Kamala. As a black woman whose name is Natalie, spelled Nathallie, I take the correct spelling and pronunciation of black names very fucking seriously. Her name is Kamala Harris. And for somebody who is so smart and has it all figured out and they knew that Trump was going to win, to me, I think it's pretty fucking dumb to have a woman's birth chart memorized, to have come to the conclusion that it's her destiny to lose, and also to not know how to spell her fucking name. The next thing that I have to say is that in my first video, I was trying to be neutral, which is pretty hard for me. I don't even know why I was trying to be neutral. I don't owe anybody neutrality. So I'm going to start this video off being incredibly fucking clear, as if it's not. Every single time I say, my name is Natalie Hughes. I'm a life mindset and manifestation coach in my business, and on my platform, I help women co-create emotionally fulfilled and purpose-driven lives for themselves. I am pro-woman. I am pro-black woman. And I'm not pro-Kamala Harris because she is a black woman. I'm pro-Kamala Harris because I'm pro-abortion and women's healthcare being a basic human fucking right. I am pro Department of Education. I am pro whatever the fuck you call not focusing on mass deportation and denaturalization processes. It's just fucking stupid. We don't have the time. No one should ever, and this person was a new subscriber from a couple days ago. Maybe they found me at that exact video. So obviously don't know me very well. Nobody should ever be under the impression that pro-fascist comments are ever welcome on this channel or across my fucking platform. I don't care what you received. I don't care what you derived. I don't give a fuck what you study. Long story short, didn't ask, don't care, fuck you. If anyone can hear about a man, the way that he speaks about women is absolutely disgusting and despicable. The way that he has treated, assaulted, and utilized his authority to harm women, quote unquote, without consequence. His fucked up policies, the fucked up things that happened, that he allowed, that he supported while in office and running for office. If you can hear about those things and not give a fuck and fix your fingers to type out something in support of that behavior, I don't give a fuck what you saw in the goddamn cosmos. If you can see that bullshit, you can hear about that bullshit, and you can still support that bullshit, fuck you. And let's move on. As we get into today's video, what I wanted to talk about is that astrology and tarot are not fortune reading tools. There's no such thing as Jupiter did this for him. Astrology, the best way that I would describe the way that I use and interpret astrology is that astrology is a mirror. Like the phrases, as above, so below, as within, so without. Astrology and the planets, just like your physical reality and you, are just reflecting things back to us. Astrology is a snapshot of what is alive or what has been alive within a collective of people at a particular point in time. That's it. There is no such thing as astrology is blessing me with this, or astrology is hurting me with this. My life sucks because Mercury is impacting me. No. Mercury is reflecting something back to you. Astrological transits are reflecting something back to you, and we're going to get into that tonight. A lot of people do not use divination. I consider astrology to be a divination tool. That's the way that I use it. So there are a lot of people who use divination tools like astrology and tarot to say, this is what is planned in the stars for you. But it's not true. It's a reflection of what's alive within you. It's one of the reasons why I don't particularly love doing personal readings about what's coming for me in my future. Because if you want to know what's coming for you in your future, you can look around at your physical reality and understand that it's going to be more of that, unless you heal and change your belief systems and shift your fucking mindset and shift your energy and deliberately choose to create something better. There is nothing outside of you that's going to gift you a goddamn thing. You are the creator of your reality. And if you're not consciously, deliberately creating, then you are subconsciously creating on autopilot, creating as a consequence of your childhood experience, creating as a consequence of your lived experience up until today. Okay? Okay. So, I need to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and shimmy your shoulders a little bit. Whew. I was almost not going to get into a part 2. And then I saw that comment and it really pissed me off. And sometimes when you have an Aries stellium like I do, and your ancestors want you to do something, they send somebody to piss you the fuck off. Because they know it's going to move you in the right direction. Okay. Our story starts in 1776. Ooh, this is so good. Does our story start in 1776? I have compiled everything in screenshots, you guys, because I had like 30 fucking tabs open and it was like slowing down my computer like crazy. So I've got screenshots for us. We want to talk about 1776. Yes, okay, I will start here quickly. July 4th, 1776, Declaration of Independence. Boom. What's going on astrologically? July 4th, 1776, the sun is in Cancer. The moon is in Aquarius for a majority of the day, and at the very end of the day, it moves into Pisces. And what did we literally just talk about in part 1? We talked about the energy of Scorpio, Sagittarius, Cancer, and Aquarius, and how these energies play a role in our independence. How we talked about how Aquarius energy, Sagittarius energy is the desire to grow and expand, experience something new, experience freedom. Aquarius is the energy that says, hey, this old system, that old Capricorn shit, that old government structure, that old way of being does not work for me. I want a more inclusive way. We need to move towards more inclusivity. So, of course, the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776, is a fucking Aquarius moon day. Like, that just makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. So, we're done with 1776. We might not be done. We'll probably go and look back at it. But I'm trying to think about where I want to go. The truth is, you guys, I looked at all of this shit and my mind went down 1,000,001 different places. And sometimes I hate doing research for something and not filming while I'm doing my research, because it is like, okay, I get it, and now I'm in a place, but now I have to catch everybody up with where I went. And I just wish that you guys could just be caught up to where I am, you know? It's like everything bounced back and forth in my brain. I don't even remember where exactly I started. I don't even remember why I was looking at 1776. Obviously it's important. Obviously we spent part number 1 talking about the Declaration of Independence, but I'm literally like, fuck brain, come on. Come on, girly. Come on. Come on. I'm on my period, you guys. So, my brain, this would be a lot easier if I was ovulating. You know what I mean? My mind would be a lot sharper if I was ovulating. Okay. Okay. Let's focus. Where do we want to look? Where do we want to go? Because I want this shit to be over with. I want to get this done because I have so many things that I need to fucking do. And a part of me just wants to get in bed and put my heating pad on and watch Gilmore Girls and cry. I'm not even sad. Okay, that's enough of my life updates in the middle of this fucking video. But like, fuck it. You either get it or you don't. What do I want to talk about? Yeah, let me start talking and then we'll start pulling dates from the things that I want to talk about. So, a couple of the big key points that were coming is that Kamala Harris represents everything that Trump hates. Donald Trump was born 1946. Kamala Harris was born 1964. Kamala Harris was born the same year that the Civil Rights Act was signed into law. In part 1, we talked about how does the spirit world impact the physical? And the answer is through a lot of things. The spirit world, excuse me, I burped. The spirit world impacts us when we get an inspired idea. We get a certain nudge. You should write this. You should talk about this. You should do this. You should create this, right? The spirit world can influence us in that idea. And the spirit world can also influence us through the children that are born. Children that are born carrying a certain energy signature, children that are born during a specific time, they carry a specific energy, they carry a specific vibration, they carry a specific like energetic signature in their soul. And we can take a look and understand this energetic signature when we're looking at their birth chart. You guys are understanding what I'm saying? So when we want change, it's like that popular saying across social media, I am my ancestors' answered prayer. Literally, yes. Literally, yes. When I think about Kamala Harris, when I made the connection, oh my God, the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964. Kamala Harris is a Libra, literally rules over fucking justice, born in 1964, a couple of months after the Civil Rights Act passed. Because she was born during Libra season, she would have been conceived before the civil rights had been passed and before the Civil Rights Act had been signed into law. So not only thinking about, and I don't want to get like weird, we're talking about conception in like a very scientific, neutral way, okay? Child being birthed into the world, but also being formed in the womb while all of this shit is going on in the world. The experiences that your mother has while she is pregnant with you, they do impact how you feel, how you behave, how you act, right? It's a contributing factor. So Kamala Harris is born, and she is everything. She represents everything that Donald Trump thinks is wrong with America, everything that ruined America. Trump is born in 1946. I gotta make sure I clicked the right one because there are some other important dates there. Okay. Trump is born in 1946. From 1946 to 1964, he is June 14th. Civil Rights Act passed. What was the exact date that the Civil Rights Act passed? I have two dates saved for the Civil Rights Act. June 19th, 1964. This is when the Civil Rights Act passed in the Senate. And July 2nd, 1964 is when the Civil Rights Act was signed into law by the president. It was an Aries fucking moon. It was passed in the Senate during a Libra fucking moon. And it was signed into law by the president during an Aries fucking moon. Kamala Harris is a Libra sun with an Aries motherfucking moon. Are you starting to see the connections that I'm making? So we have, I lost my most important date, June 19th, 1964. And we have June 14th, 1946. So the Civil Rights Act is passed in the Senate, 3 days after Donald Trump's 18th birthday? So Donald Trump is a young man. He is a young, affluent, white man who is raised in a family system where there is no love, there is no nurture, there is just family legacy and positioning to create some sort of public image and persona. This behavior of lying and cheating and stealing and fantasy marketing your way into money and income and positions of power, this is the Trump legacy. This is the Trump way of being. And we can see this because he's got... Okay, so first things first, if you look at his chart over here, down in the bottom corner, I'm looking at his houses. He's got a Leo rising, 29 degrees. He has Leo in the first house and Leo in the 12th house. That means he also has Aquarius on the 6th, on the cusp of his 6th, and he has Aquarius on the cusp of his 7th. If you have two signs, oh my God, mouth please. It's been a really long time since I've talked about intercepted signs. If you have one sign on the cusp of two houses, then that means you have some sort of intercepted sign. I don't like the way that you're explaining that. Okay, so in astrology, you have houses. And I have to explain this like nobody understands astrology so that we can all be on the same page. So if you get it, then fucking skip forward or whatever. Okay, so in astrology, you have 12 houses. Each house is going to be I want to say associated with a sign, but it's not technically associated with that sign. It's just associated with an aspect of life which is also associated with that sign. You know what I mean? It's like some astrology people will like slap you on the wrist if you say that the fourth house is associated with Cancer. But in a way, it really kind of is, because the fourth house is about your physical home. It's about your mother. It's about the way that you nurture yourself. It could even be about the way that you nurture others. It's the way that you received nurture or you didn't receive nurture. The fourth house is you going into your innermost self. And so these are Cancerian fucking themes. These are moon fucking themes, right? So, okay, in astrology, you have 12 houses. We all have 12 houses. So if there's 12 houses and there's 12 signs, then you're going to have one sign. Well, I don't want to say usually. I don't know how rare intercepted signs actually are. It's not something that I saw often when I was doing astrology readings, but I also wasn't doing hundreds and millions and billions of them, right? So I'm going to say typically, okay? I don't know if it's typical, but I'm going to say typically, okay? You've got 12 houses that represent the 12 different aspects of life. And if you've got 12 houses, each house is going to have a sign on the cusp of that house. So if there's 12 houses and there's 12 signs that are going to be on the cusp of those houses, then typically there's going to be one house for each sign of the zodiac. So your first house is your rising sign or your ascendant. So if you have Leo on the first house, Leo is the sign that is on the cusp of your first house. Then after you have Leo, then on the cusp of your second would be Virgo, and then after Virgo on the cusp of your third would be Libra, and then after Libra on the cusp of your fourth would be Scorpio, and then after Scorpio on the cusp of your fifth would be Sagittarius, and then after Sagittarius on the cusp of your sixth would be Capricorn. And then it would keep going until you had crossed off all 12 signs. But when you look at Donald Trump's chart, it goes Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Aquarius. Where's Capricorn? There is no Capricorn. There is no sign of Capricorn on a cusp of one of his houses. What does that mean? That means that Capricorn is intercepted. That means that Capricorn is not on the cusp of one of his houses. So Capricorn, the sign of Capricorn, is inside of his fifth house. Are you understanding me? It's like tucked away in there. It's like hidden in there. And so if Capricorn is intercepted, then Cancer is also intercepted. So when you have intercepted signs, it's always going to be the sister signs, okay? It's like sister signs are best friends. Where one of them goes, the other one goes. Just like you have Aquarius on the first and right across from Aquarius in that seventh house. Just like you have Leo on his first house and right across from Leo is Aquarius on his seventh house. And then when you keep going, you have Leo on the cusp of his 12th because it repeats. And then across from that Leo, you have Aquarius on his sixth house. The signs are best friends. So if there's no Capricorn on the cusp of a house, then there's not going to be any Cancer on the cusp of a house. So when you have intercepted signs, I think that they can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. The best way that I can describe it is when you have intercepted signs, that sign, that energy that it represents is something that's not necessarily being developed or harnessed or practiced or expressed in its fullest way. There's some sort of neglect there. There's some sort of, we'll go with neglect there. So for example, somebody who has Aries intercepted in their chart, Aries is where we are headstrong. So if you have, okay, great example. Donald Trump has Aries on the cusp of his ninth house. So where he's going to be headstrong is in his belief systems. Aries is where you're willing to fight for something because Aries is ruled by Mars. So if you are missing Aries, meaning if Aries is intercepted in your chart, then you're not going to have, and again, this all depends on person to person. It's kind of hard when you're talking about astrology to talk about things in such a general way because it always depends on the aspects and the signs and blah, blah, blah. But in general, if you have Aries intercepted in your chart, then you probably didn't grow up in a home or a family system that taught you to be an individual. You're probably someone who struggles to be seen. You're probably someone who struggles to really express themselves and assert their individuality and assert their desires on things. That's Aries energy. Assertiveness. Aries energy is courage. Aries energy is, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what I desire. Aries is I am. Aries is connected to like first house energy. So are you understanding me? So because he doesn't have Capricorn on the cusp of a house, Capricorn is intercepted. He doesn't have Cancer on the cusp of any houses, so Cancer is also intercepted. So Capricorn energy, we could be talking about the house where you have the most integrity, the house where, that actually would be a really good interpretation because again, these things can go all over the place. I might look at somebody else who has Capricorn intercepted and I might say something different. I might get a different feel. So tapping into this energy, tapping into this vibe, no Capricorn to me feels like no integrity. And in my opinion, this is amplified because of that Neptune retrograde in Libra in the second house, which we talked about in the first video. That lying about money, lying about finances, lying in order to gain, lying in order to build relationships. Jupiter in Libra, growing and expanding through relationships and mutual lies. So those second house placements, that lack of authenticity, that lack of honesty, and all of that Libra energy also gets amplified because there's Mars in Leo in the 12th house and there's Pluto in Leo in the 12th house. Now, this is really, really interesting because Mars and Pluto are our planets of personal power. Mars can be our drive, Mars can be our sexuality. I believe that Pluto has themes of sexuality as well. Pluto is our personal power, Pluto is our spirituality. Pluto can talk about our legacy and our family. When I think about Pluto, I also think about money because again, Pluto is all about power. Pluto is all about transformation. We talked about this a lot in that part 1 video, which I suggest everyone check out. So you've got Mars in the 12th house and Pluto in the 12th house. Now, the 12th house is what I would consider to be that Pisces associated house. And that Pisces associated house is sometimes compared to an asylum. As you're moving through the signs, as you're moving through the houses, you're kind of telling the story of what it means to be alive. So the first house is I am. This is my identity. This is my rising sign. This is how I present myself to the world. I am, right? If I have Leo on the first house, my identity might be I am a leader, right? So my first house is I am. My second house is I have. These are my possessions. So we're talking money and we're also talking values. We talked about this in that first video. The third house is I think. Now we're getting into Gemini energy. This is the way that I think and this is the way that I communicate. The fourth house is getting into I feel, but it's also getting into I need, okay? This is Cancerian energy. We're talking about home. We're talking about nurture, how we nurture others, how we need to be nurtured, the nurture that we did or did not get in our childhood home. He has Scorpio on the cusp of the fourth house, which is not necessarily a warm and fuzzy, loving energy. Leo risings remind me, Leo risings with Scorpio on the fourth house, on the fourth cusp, remind me of um, the song from, the song from, the song from, the song from Chicago. The song from Chicago from a musical. Hold on, I'm looking it up right now. Roxy. Leo risings remind me of the song Roxy from Chicago, the musical. At a very specific point, Roxy is a song of this woman. Her name is Roxy, and she's singing about how she's going to become so famous and so well known. She is no longer going to be the girl who's known for having the lame, broke ass husband. The world is going to know Roxy. The world is going to know my face. The world is going to know my boobs. The world is going to know my nose. I'm going to be known, and I'm going to, be carried around. I'm going to have a show. I'm going to be carried around. I'm going to get some guys that are going to carry me around, and it's going to look hot and it's going to look sexy, and I'm going to love the audience, and the audience is going to love me, and I'm going to love the audience for loving me, and the audience is going to love me for loving them, and we're just going to love each other. And then she says, that's because none of us ever got enough love in our childhoods. And then she says, and that's showbiz. That's the energy that Leo risings give me. And you don't have to take it personal if you are a Leo rising, but I mean, it probably resonates. I'm going to put on a show. I'm going to be seen. I'm going to, it's like that, Tyler, the Creator song. I think the title of it is November. And he talks about like, I think it might be lonely. He says like the loudest person is the loneliest person in the room, or some shit like that. That's the energy that this gives. Leo rising, Scorpio on the cusp of the fourth house. I feel lonely inside. I feel abandoned. Scorpio moon energy can be transformative and a lot of really great things. A lot of the times it's people who have suffered very deep traumas and neglect and abuse. So there's this feeling of, I'm going to put on this persona. I'm going to be the charismatic person. I'm going to be the person who's okay. I'm going to be the person who looks good. Everybody gets to have their own opinions about that. I'm going to be the person who is in the middle of the stage and always has the spotlight. And if, as long as I'm smiling, then I'm going to keep from crying, or what the fuck ever. Okay. Like, I hope that you're getting it. I'm doing my best right now. Okay. My brain is at 75%. Like, fuck it. I'm doing a great job. Okay. So fuck it. I'm doing a great job. So that's the energy that we get with Leo risings and that Scorpio I see. So there is a drastic difference in the public persona, the things that we push outward, the things that we talk about, the things that we say, versus the things that are going on internally, the things that are going on when nobody's watching. Your IC, your fourth house, is the things that happen behind closed doors in a dark room when it's just you, God, and the devil, and nobody else is around. I don't have to put on a show because nobody else is watching me, unless I have Leo on the fourth house, or I'm like a Leo moon, and then I'm always putting on a show. And there's nothing wrong with that either. So, okay, that's the energy and that's the vibe. And then we can look across from that. Scorpio IC, Scorpio fourth house, we look into the MC, which is Taurus. So, fourth house versus 10th house. Fourth house is my innermost world. That's that Cancer associated house. 10th house is the public image. Okay, your 10th house is your public persona. Your first house is what people get from you when they talk to you and they connect with you one on one. Your 10th house is your public persona. It's your reputation. It's the thing that precedes you. It's the idea that people have of you, even if they don't know you, right? And sometimes these things match up and sometimes these things don't match up. Like, for example, Scorpio risings. I'm a Scorpio risings. Scorpio has Scorpio on the cusp of the first, that's the rising, that's the ascendant. And then they have Leo on the 10th house. So many people tell me, oh my God, I wish that we could be best friends. You're my best friend in my head. And the reason why they love me so much and they love connecting with me so much is because I have Leo on the cusp of my 10th house. My public persona is pretty happy and pretty joyful and pretty much having the spotlight on me and all of that goodness. And in my personal life, I show up as a Scorpio rising. Personally, I have a fifth house stellium. So the way that I show up in the public and the way that I am one on one is basically exactly the same, but that's not the point. The point is my Scorpio rising, I can get on a video and I can talk for hours and hours and hours. As a Scorpio rising, I like silence. I like silence when I wake up in the morning. My mother is a Libra sun and a Cancer rising. I like silence when I wake up in the morning. She can just start talking right at the crack of fucking dawn. And that's just not me. It's never been me. It will never be me. I can talk for hours and hours and hours on a video. I can put on a show. I love acting and all of that really great, amazing, wonderful stuff. Not that it is an act, but again, that's nuance, so we don't have time to talk about it. The point is, I can be in the spotlight, but when it's time and the curtains have closed, I need to be by myself in a dark room talking to my spirit guides and angels and ancestors. And that's like Scorpio first house versus 10th house, right? So your first house and your 10th house are similar, but they have their differences and they don't always necessarily align. Sometimes they do, depending on the signs and the energies that you have. Like if you were an Aries rising and then you had Mars in the 10th house, your public persona and your personality, your ascendant, who you are, just in your day-to-day life, dealing with people one-on-one, it's probably going to be incredibly similar, right? So just an example. So, okay, we have the Scorpio fourth house. Scorpio fourth house means I maybe would never tell anybody about this, but I have terrible feelings inside, blah, 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 blah. Now, these terrible feelings inside, we have a Sagittarius moon that's in that fourth house. So, even though Scorpio's on the cusp, it starts at 24 degrees Scorpio, and the moon, his moon, is at 21 degrees Sagittarius. His fifth house doesn't start until 29 degrees Sagittarius. And so, what this means, hold on, I need to take a breath. What this means is that his moon, even though it's in the sign of Sagittarius, in terms of degrees, it's going to fall into the fourth house. And so this puts a very interesting spin on it because we have Scorpio fourth house, which can be very dark, very resentful, right? Scorpio can be a very resentful energy if Scorpio does not forgive, if Scorpio does not process, if Scorpio does not release, they can become resentful, they can become bitter, they can become hateful, they can become defensive, they can become vengeful. These are all things that we know to be true about this man and his persona. Why do we know these things though if this is fourth house energy and we don't tell anyone? Well, the reason why we know these things is because the moon, his moon, is in Sagittarius in the fourth house. If I want to learn more about his Sagittarius moon in the fourth house, I'm going to look to his ninth house. Why? Because I'm going to associate the ninth house with Sagittarian characteristics and traits. So I'm going to look into the ninth house. And when I look in the ninth house, what do I see? I see Aries. Aries is where we are headstrong. So, when it's time for me to talk about my values, ninth house energy is our belief systems, right? Sagittarian energy. What are the things that we believe? It can be our philosophy for how we should live. I'm hearing the song Hakuna Matata, right? Hakuna Matata. Oh my God, mouth, please do the thing. Our ninth house energy is our belief systems. It really talks a lot about our personal values. And so the I see that fourth house energy is, I want to say, in a way, being ruled by Scorpio, because that's what's on the cusp. So you've got this resentment and you've got this bitterness. That's not all that Scorpio is, but these are the themes that are really at play here. So you've got this anger and you've got this resentment and you've got this energy of dwelling. Scorpio is a what? Scorpio is a festerer. Scorpio is a festerer. Like the poem Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Scorpio can fester on something. Scorpio experiences a heartbreak. Scorpio can experience a heartache. Scorpio can experience a betrayal. And they will look at it and they will think about it and they will look at it again and they will talk about it more and they can become obsessive with it, and they can get in this loop of looking at the betrayal and focusing on the betrayal and then projecting that betrayal onto other people, and they can become very defensive. This is why Scorpio is such a huge thing. Forgiveness is such a huge theme for Scorpios. Because without forgiveness, they become resentful. They can become controlled by their rage. They can become controlled by their anger. They can become controlled by the pain of their past. Now, Scorpio is all about having power. Scorpio is all about having control. But what happens when you are unhealed? I love this phrase. If you can be triggered, then you can be controlled. And that doesn't mean that you suppress your emotions so that you never have any response to anything. Some Scorpios do that. It's still dysfunctional and it's still being triggered. I'm not going to let you control me. I'm going to do nothing in response to you trying to get me to do something. You're still being controlled, right? So if you can be triggered, you can be controlled. How do you put yourself in a position where you are not acting and reacting because somebody triggered a wound of your past? You heal the fucking wound so that it doesn't hurt you and piss you off and put you in a situation where you can easily be manipulated. And I know that I sound so funny and so hypocritical because I was talking about the stupid comment that really pissed me off and pushed me to act. And I just really have to say on the record that sometimes getting pissed off feels like a source of inspiration for me as an Aries. Sometimes people say stupid shit and I'm like, actually, I have way smarter things to say, and you make me want to say the way smarter things that I have to say, right? So that's different. I'm trying not to make blanket statements here, right? Because we're nuanced. We're all so fucking nuanced. And that's really important here as we look at Donald Trump's chart and as we look at Kamala Harris's chart, because some of the energies are, there's similarities in certain ways, which is crazy. Like the 1946 versus the 1964, like just crazy, like weird opposing shit. But we'll talk more about that in a second. So, okay, where was I? Scorpio, forgiveness, controlled. Scorpio's resentments go unchecked. They will fester, they will grow, they will expand. Scorpio wants control. Wherever you have Scorpio, you want control. And this is normal because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and traditionally ruled by Mars. Like we talked about before, Mars and Pluto are all planets of personal power. So we've got Scorpio on the cusp of the fourth. He has Mars in Leo and Pluto in Leo. Scorpio on the cusp of the first, on the cusp of the fourth, excuse me, there's a deep wound here. That deep wound was triggered by blows to his ego in his childhood by his mother. Why mother? Because IC is Cancer energy. That fourth house is our relationship with our mother and the nurturing that we did or did not get. For example, I have Uranus on the cusp of my I have Aquarius on the cusp of my fourth house. I felt abandoned by my mother. I felt isolated. I felt unwanted, right? So, Scorpio fourth house, there's deep wounding, deep trauma. If I want to learn more about the deep wounding and the deep trauma, I'm probably going to look to Pluto, but I'm also going to look to Mars because I've already noticed that Mars and Pluto are both in Leo in the 12th house. So there's wounding around mother, there's wounding around nurture, there's neglect, there's a system that is not working, and I want to learn more information about that. So I'm going to look at Mars and I'm going to look at Pluto, which are in the signs of Leo. Leo is our ego because Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is our ego. The sun is our sense of self. And now I'm hearing the song Daddy Wasn't There from Austin Powers. So, okay. We have a wound that impacts our personal sense of self and our personal sense of power. And that resentment and that guilt and that feeling of powerlessness in relation to mother festers into anger. All of this is for entertainment purposes only. And allegedly, putting that there, don't know the hardcore facts. Sometimes the shit gets a little bit too real and you gotta pop that there. I didn't want to get into this. I didn't want this power. I didn't want it, okay? But fuck it. If it's here, it's here. Deep feelings of powerlessness connected to women deeply impacted the ego, the sense of self, and the sense of personal power. We know this deeply impacted negatively because we've got those scorpionic themes, and that that Pluto and Mars are both in the 12th house. The 12th house can be our house of undoing. The 12th house, yes, the 12th house can be a lot of different things. For the purposes of this portion, the 12th house is our house of undoings. It's also our house of subconscious desires. So what do we desire subconsciously? Well, this energy, what does this person desire subconsciously? They desire to have power. They desire to have a strong sense of self. They desire to have the strong ability to assert themselves. They desire to have power. And the interesting thing about this is that scorpionic energy, Scorpios can be some of the most manipulative, evil people that you have ever met. Because when you have Scorpio energy and something has happened that has made a Scorpio feel powerless and they do not heal from it, they do not move forward from it, they do not take their power back from the situation, then a Scorpio can become resentful, a Scorpio can become vengeful, and a Scorpio can believe, it's like psychologically, right? A Scorpio can believe that they have to hurt you in order to take their power back. A Scorpio can overcorrect instead of just taking their power back. A Scorpio can think, When they hurt me, they took my power. I have to hurt them and become powerful, more powerful than them. I have to always position myself to be above them so that they can never hurt me again. And so this is someone who struggles deeply with power dynamics between women. It's also why he lost that case against women, against a woman at the beginning of this year. Yes, we will be looking at the astrology of that, the court date that he lost, because it's really, really fucking interesting. And it's going to make even more sense after I just broke that down. I did not get that deep into his chart the first time that I started putting things together. I have been avoiding this chart like the plague because, like I said, I don't like getting into this energy. I got into Epstein's energy when I did that reading. I said that I was going to link it, but I forgot to. I might link it here, so check the description to see. I don't like getting into the energy of people who do not have integrity and who do terrible things because, like I said, I am a psychic medium. These are not things that I particularly enjoy feeling. So if it gets too deep, then I'm going to move the fuck on. Got it? Got it. So this is someone who feels a deep loss when it comes to personal power, especially with women. This is a very big mother wound energy, and we could talk about this forever. We could focus on this forever, but we don't have time to do it. So we got to kind of keep that moving on. Okay, so we talked about that Scorpio IC. Now I want to talk about the opposite, which is that Taurus MC. So our IC, fourth house, who we are inside of our home, Cancerian energy. Our MC, 10th house, Capricorn energy. This is our public persona. Having Capricorn intercepted, remember, not on the cusp of any of the houses, to me feels like there is no opportunity to craft my own public persona. I was born, somebody handed me a script, said, this is who you are, this is how you must portray yourself, this is how you must behave, this is what we do in our family, this is our legacy, this is how we're seen in the world, this is it. You don't have a choice. That's the energy and that's the vibe of that Capricorn intercepted, and then Taurus on the cusp of the 10th. What is Taurus? Taurus is all about our personal values. This energy, that sense of powerlessness and that sense of not good enoughness, all of those financial failures that have happened because he's got Neptune in Libra retrograde in the second house, all of those financial failures that have happened and him creating this illusion of being successful and being so good and being so great, and I'm going to be great for the economy because I failed in business and that's what successful people do, right? Just that ability to twist and turn and morph things, that's that Neptunian energy. But when you water it all down, that Mars in the 12th and Pluto in the 12th is ultimately a disconnect. This is not someone who has a personal sense of power. This is somebody who gets a sense of power through association with people. Whether that association is with family members, that association is with people who have power that are around him. This is somebody who is disconnected from his own personal sense of power, because 12th house energy can kind of be where things go to die in a way. I feel like I've heard that interpretation somewhere. What that means, and what I was getting into earlier, was that as you're moving through the houses, right? First house, I am. Second house, I have. Third house, I think. Fourth house, I feel, I need. Fifth house, I create. That's Leo energy. This is the things that we create, the children that we create, the work that we create, the creativity that we create, right? The fifth house goes even deeper and can deal with other things like dating and sex and blah, blah, blah. But we're not talking about that. So fifth house, I create. Sixth house, I was going to say I work, but sixth house really would be like I serve. It's a Virgo associated house, but it's also I work. It's also our daily routines, right? Seventh house energy could be, I want to say I know. I want to say I know. It's our relationships that we have with people, the people that we do business with. It can also be the people that we are married to. So that's seventh house energy there. And then eighth house energy, we could say I hide or even I inherit, because when I think about eighth house, that's my house of like ancestry, the things that we have inherited, the things that we have received. It can talk about like that financial inheritance. It's a scorpionic house, and it can talk about our sense of personal power. Did we inherit a sense of personal power from our ancestors, or did we inherit a sense of powerlessness? A lot of generational curse breakers in the charts that I've read have eighth house placements. A lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and they are the generational curse breaker that has come to transmute that energy and turn that shit into gold. So Pluto energy, Plutonic energy is very similar to Saturnian energy. If we're talking about accountability, Plutonic energy, Scorpionic energy is the energy of like double for my trouble. I might have gone through all of this bullshit, but if I heal this shit, if I make it through this storm, I am going to experience so much profit, so many gains from this shitty experience and every single thing that I choose to do with it. Scorpio energy, it's always so sad when Scorpio energy gets caught up in resentment and anger and all of that, because Scorpionic energy can miss out on its own blessings, being vengeful and focusing on revenge when that was never Scorpio's function. You know, like, this is my perception, of course. Everything is my perception. I don't have to say that it's my video. Obviously, it's my perception. Scorpionic energy can focus on, let me make sure that this shit is recording, because if it's not, I'm gonna be upset. Okay. Scorpionic energy can focus on resentment and all of that, and kind of fuck around and lose out in life because there was so much more waiting for them on the other side of the trauma that they never went out and got, because they ran away from it, they avoided it, they like stonewalled it, or they focused so much on vengeance and hurting other people that they completely missed the bigger picture, which was, I am strong enough to move through this. I am strong enough to transmute this, right? Scorpio in a lower octave thinks and knows that it's strong enough to defeat you and kick your ass. Scorpio in its highest octave or a higher octave knows that it's strong enough to overcome whatever the fuck you did to it. And that's even more fucking dangerous, because again, they're not going to be controlled by their triggers or the pain of their past. They are free, and now they're moving into that Sagittarian energy like we talked about yesterday, right? So okay, we've got Scorpionic energy juxtaposing that Taurus energy on the 10th house. Taurus energy is our values. Oh no, what was I talking about that Neptune? It's like the Neptune on the second with the Pluto and the Mars in the 12th house. 12th house can be where things go to die. Why do I keep forgetting to get there? Oh, because I was going through all of the houses. Okay, so 8th house we'll say is like I inherit. 9th house is I believe, right? Sagittarian energy, our philosophy, our spirituality, also our higher education. 10th house is how I shine, how I'm known, how I'm perceived. 11th house is more so the people that I know, it's the groups that I belong to, it's my associates. I also look to the 11th house when I see, when I'm looking to humanitarian work, my relationship with larger groups of people. That's 10th house energy moving into 11th house energy. So 7th house energy is going to be more of my close personal associates, like in business. And then 11th house energy, I feel like there's a million and one different interpretations for 11th house energy, because sometimes I can see 11th house energy being close friends, but sometimes I see third house energy being better at determining those close friends and close relationships, even though technically third house energy is like your cousins and things like that. Um, so 11th house energy is really my relationship to the masses, how I'm serving the masses, because that's Aquarius energy. That's the Aquarius associated house. Aquarius energy. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. This is all about humanitarianism, how I'm serving, or inclusion, or how I'm not serving, or how I don't feel served by the masses, or, different things like that. So we're talking about our relationship with the masses of people. And then the 12th house is everything after that. And it's like, what do you have after that? Once you get through the 11th house, you focused on the spiritual. We started at the first house and we're talking about our concepts of self as we're moving through those first houses. And then we get into the 7th house, and now we're really starting to focus on my relationships with other people, the things that I inherit from other people in my family, the things that I learned to believe through my connections with people outside of my family unit. That's 9th house energy. The way that other people perceive me, whether it's people in my work or people who are looking at my social media online. 11th house, the way that those people, the friends of those people, perceive me, the people who I might not ever meet perceive me. 11th house is like this wide pool of energy. And then everything else after that is the 12th house. And so when we get into the 12th house, we start getting into the spiritual. When we get into the 12th house, we start getting into the higher dimensions, because that's what happens afterwards. Afterwards is death, right? So I'm not talking about anybody actually dying, but I'm talking about the non-physical shit. So then we start talking about the subconscious mind when we get into the 12th house. So the 12th house can be where things go to die. The 12th house can be where things are hidden. The 12th house is where things feel unseen. The 12th house is where things feel ungraspable. And so if I have Mars in my 12th house and I have Pluto in my 12th house, then depending on whether or not I do the healing work and get tuned and tapped and turned on to my inner being, blah, 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 I am going to be someone who feels disconnected from their personal power. It feels like my personal power is not tangible. It feels like my personal power is not here. Not only does he have one planet that represents personal power in the 12th house, he has both planets that represent personal power in the 12th house. Now, in the first video, I talked about one manifestation of this energy being all of my moments of personal power and grabbing power happen behind the scenes, closed deals, things that I'm not sharing with the public, things that are going on outside of public persona. And that really worked for that video and within that context. And this energy that we're looking at now, as we're diving into this chart in this particular way, we're really starting to see a different kind of deeper interpretation of the energy, which is my personal power is not here. My personal power is not here in the physical realm. And a lot of people, especially people who are in a hyper masculine energy, they're not emotionally open. They're not emotionally available. And people with that scorpionic energy at their MC, at their core, that hasn't been dealt with, that trauma that hasn't been moved through, what do? They become emotionally hardened and closed off. And so if I've become emotionally hardened and closed off, and I am not willing to be open to my emotions, and I have 12th house placements, then I'm really not going to thrive as it relates to those placements, because I have no way to reach them. Like we talked about in that video number 1, that Piscean energy, Neptunian energy is how you navigate through the room when all of the lights have been turned off. You don't navigate Neptunian energy. You don't navigate 12th house energy the way that you would navigate 6th house energy. 6th house is the things that show up in our physical lives, our physical health, our physical body. You do not treat the things that are going on in your psyche. You do not treat the things that are going on in your mind in the same way that you would treat a physical ailment, because you can see a physical ailment. There are a lot of physical symptoms with a physical ailment, but when you're going through something mentally or emotionally, some people discredit those things because you can't see it. Why are you crying? You don't have any reason to cry. I do have a reason to cry. You just can't see it. So you're not willing to believe that it exists. Those are the experiences that happen when we're dealing with the 12th house. We're talking about our psyche. We're talking about our psychology. And a lot of the reasons why, or one of the reasons why I love that the 12th house is going to be associated with prisons. What is a prison? A prison is being secluded from the 11th house. A prison is being broken away from the people in the collective. A prison is not being included in the group, not being included in the most inclusive space, which is that 11th house. And so I can be in a prison in a physical way, but I can also be in a prison in a mental way. I can also be in a prison in an emotional way. I can be in an invisible prison. And this is how a lot of 12th housers feel. They feel like 12th housers, Neptunian people, Piscean people. I have described this feeling as well. I'm a Pisces sun and I have moon conjunct Neptune in my natal chart. I have a lot of Pisces energy. I have a lot of Neptunian energy. And I have described this feeling of being in a room full of people and still feeling completely alone and isolated. This is the Neptunian experience. This is the 12th houser experience, as long as you're not, healing and all of that stuff. So what's the point? The point is, if Pluto and Mars are in the 12th house, they are unreachable. Not unreachable for everyone, unreachable for the person who's emotionally closed off, unreachable for the person who's emotionally avoidant, unreachable for the person who is unwilling to do the healing work. So you've got this person who has severe mother stuff going on. He has a Cancer stellium in the 11th house. Mercury intercepted, Venus intercepted, Saturn intercepted. He has an intercepted planetary stellium, all in Cancer. Mommy, mommy, mommy. Mercury in Cancer. Mercury is how you communicate in Cancer, intercepted in the 11th house, ruled by Moon in Sagittarius in the 4th house, which is under the reign of that scorpionic resentment. The things that he speaks to the masses, 11th house energy, Mercury speaking, the things that he speaks to the masses are actually a reflection of what's going on in his internal world, and him trying to psychologically work out the bullshit that happened to him when he was a small child. The anger and the resentment. This is somebody who is able to really play on the fears and the anger and the resentment of so many people within the collective, because he knows this intimately. He knows these experiences intimately, of feeling like you have no power, feeling like you're being invaded on, feeling like people are taking things from you, feeling like, exactly, that's exactly it. You feel like you have no power. This is how you can take your power back. In order to take your power back, you have to hurt this other person. In order to take your power back, you have to do this thing. This is somebody who can easily get tuned in, tapped in, turned on to the hate and the resentment and the feelings of powerlessness that are within other people, and can capitalize on that every single time. This is somebody who has who has Mars in the 12th house, Pluto in the 12th house. This is an intuitive energy. So this is somebody who can intuitively pick up on the fears and the anxieties of other people and can capitalize on that. And it's very much a capitalize on it, because Neptune, which Neptune rules over Pisces, so I'm always going to connect Neptune back to that 12th house. He has Neptune in Libra in the 2nd house. And so that means I have, in order to gain physical things, I'm going to use Neptunian principles. Consciously, subconsciously, doesn't matter. I'm going to use my Neptunian power in order to gain more things, in order to gain more money. And like I was saying earlier, with that Neptune retrograde in the second house, only feeling powerful in connection to other people, being around, purposely putting themselves around powerful people and feeling that's his only way to feel powerful, because his sense of power is like, it's so difficult putting this energy into words, because how can you be somebody who feels powerless but also someone who is subconsciously praying, using their power to subconsciously prey on the fears and insecurities of other people in order to gain power? Like, I feel like that makes no fucking sense coming out, but in a completely different way, I feel like that makes a whole bunch of sense. So I'm just going to assume that I'm making all the sense in the world. It's the best that I got when you're dealing with Neptunian energy and concepts. So with that Neptunian retrograde in the second house and Jupiter there, Jupiter is a blessing. Jupiter is luck, right? Neptunian energy with Jupiter energy on the cusp of the second house, he is able to craft a story. He is able to craft a persona, craft a story, and craft a persona as it fits him, as he needs. And the reason why the businesses keep failing, the reason why he is not successful, is because it always points back to that Mars in the 12th, that Pluto in the 12th, and the lack of power that's actually there. This is somebody who can talk a really good game. This is somebody who can weave stories with words and really charm the pants off of you, because there's Libra on the cusp of his third. Libra is all about charming. Venus on the third is somebody who can be very charming with their words. You might not find it charming, but there's somebody else who finds it charming. So when you ask the question, how can somebody do such terrible things and people are still voting for this guy? It's because there's Libra on the cusp of the 12th house. And so on the cusp of the third house. And it's not the sign giving him power, it's a reflection of the energy that's alive within him, things that would have been developed, I want to say, over many, many lifetimes, not just the lifetimes of his soul, but I'm talking about family things. Like, familial themes are a really big thing here. It's almost like the energy of somebody who isn't an individual. Like, looking at his chart, all of that energy is in the 11th house and the 10th house and the 12th house. It's like he has the energy of someone who doesn't actually have a sense of self, doesn't actually have his own identity. He exists within the context of his family. That's who he is. That's all that he knows how to be. And that's the energy and that's the vibe there. And God, I did not plan on spending so much fucking time talking about this. I did not want to be doing this for over an hour, but it kind of is like the most interesting shit in the fucking world to me. And I have not even scratched the surface of this shit. It's insanity. Okay. So, where are we? Taurus 10th house, known for money, known for what I have, known for all of these things, but it's connected to that Neptune retrograde in the second house. So it's based in lies, it's based in it's based in farce, it's based in a show, it's based in a persona. This is the energy of fake it until you make it. And he actually makes it and then it fails, and then he's like, who cares, I'm just gonna keep faking it. And then he makes it again and then it fails, and then he's like, who cares, I'm just gonna keep faking it. And then he makes it again and then he fails. And that's the cycle. Fake it till you make it and fail, and fake it some more and then make it some more and then fail, and then fake it some more and then make it some more and then fail. And this is fine, except Jupiterian energy can sometimes be considered greedy. This Jupiterian energy combined with this Plutonic energy can really be considered unhealthy. And this is not a blanket statement, but the thing about it is, when you have this experience where I don't feel powerful, I need to take from others, I need to overpower others in order to feel powerful. And it's like you overpower somebody in a small way and it doesn't make you feel powerful enough. It's like a temporary high. It's like, drug use. This is 12th house energy. 12th house energy can also deal with drug use. I'm not saying that I see drug use at all, but this is just an example. It's like when you have a drug or something, you have like a hit of something, and then it gives you some kind of high, and then you have another hit of it, but it doesn't give you that same kind of high, or you want to reach that big high again, or you know, reached a certain high and you want to have a higher high or some shit like that. Okay, like that's the energy and that's the vibe where there's a desire to keep going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. It's insatiable. There's an insatiable desire for power. And the reason why the desire for power is absolutely fucking insatiable is because there's nothing in the external. There's no amount of money. There's no amount of status that is ever going to fill that hole. The reason that the hole is there is because there is an absolute refusal to look at and heal the shit from the past. And so you have this campaign of Make America Great Again. I want to take us back to the past. He wants to take us back to the past. Why? Cancerian energy. Look at that Cancer stellium. Mercury in Cancer, Venus in Cancer, Saturn in Cancer. Why would I want to go back to the past? Because I want to remedy it. I want to take myself back to the past and I want to do it right. I want to take myself back to my childhood experience. I want to recreate my childhood experience and I want to fix it. Now, these are things that are happening on the subconscious. So I'm not saying the master plan to run for president is because he wants things to go back to the way that they were before the Civil Rights Act so that he can heal his blah, blah, blah. No, these things pan out subconsciously. And we know this. We all have examples of this. The guy who ghosted you that you chased him, oh my God, excuse me, you chased that man for him to choose you and to be with you and to get into a relationship with you, even after he ran away from you, because you were trying to, through that relationship, remedy the ways that you were abandoned as a little girl. We do this all of the fucking time. We try to create experiences right here and right now that remedy the energy of the past. And this is really amplified because he has all of that Cancerian energy. And so even though this is somebody who is really focused on the public's perception of him, like when Kamala Harris said he got fired by blah, 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 blah. Oh, that shit fucking hurted. Because this is somebody whose public persona is everything to him. His ego is everything to him. The way that the public perceives him is everything to him. That's why he's so quick to say, everybody loves me. I was the most loved president of blah, blah, blah. I was the greatest. I was the most amazing. Even though you know that that's not the truth. The facts are right there, but it doesn't matter. This is not somebody who lives in a world of facts. This is somebody who fakes it till they make it, and then they make it, and then they fail, and then they fake it till they make it, and then they make it, and they fail. So there's an insatiable need and an insatiable desire to get power. But there's no amount of power that ever makes them feel fulfilled. Because, like Beyonce said, it's the soul that needs the surgery. Which makes this person very dangerous. Now, this is not a sad reading. Oh, it's not a sad reading. I would not have got on here and said what the fuck I said at the beginning of this video if this was sad and this was depressing. This is just my analysis and what I'm seeing. I did not plan on getting this fucking deep, you guys. This is crazy. So, 1946, the Civil Rights Act. I could dive into this chapter all day, y'all. We can't do it. We can't do it. We can't do it. So we have to move on. Okay. 1946, dude is born. 1964, the Civil Rights Act is passed. The Civil Rights Act is really relevant because it was passed in the same year that Kamala Harris was born. So she is a physical manifestation of that energy, a physical manifestation of that change that was taking place in that time, and she reps that energy incredibly well. She's a Black woman who was born in the same year that the Civil Rights Act was signed into law, and she has been working her entire life, working her way up the justice system, working her way up the political fucking ladder into the position of Vice President of the United States. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is what desegregated America, which is it's the act. I don't know if you call it a law. It's the law. It's the law. Yes, you call it a law. It's the law that ended Jim Crow. It's the law that ended segregation. I believe. Why do I want to say it's the law that ended segregation? Because I know that Brown versus the Board of Education is the civil rights, the Supreme Court case that ended segregation in public schools. I know that the Civil Rights Act is what said you cannot discriminate people based on the color of their skin or their religious views. Okay, that's what we'll say, because everything is fucking nuanced, right? So we'll start there and we'll stop there. So Civil Rights Act gets passed in 1964. Kamala Harris is a Black woman who was born in this same year. She carries in her energetic signature a reflection of what was alive in the collective at that point in time, which was fucking change. At the time that the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964, Donald Trump was 18 years old. When you are 18 years old, you are technically an adult. I don't know when they started that. I don't know when that law started that 18 years old is an adult or 18 years old is when you vote. But I'm considering it to be relevant because that's how I live and that's how I read. And so that's how the spirit world would communicate to me anyway. 18 years old, about to move into his 20s, this is signaling the end of your childhood and your shift into adulthood. So Donald Trump is growing up in a time of Jim Crow. Donald Trump is growing up in a time where you can assault women, and and it's not that just ended with the Civil Rights Act, but Donald Trump is growing up in the 40s and in the 50s. So he is watching these things that are happening in the news, or he's hearing his parents talk about the progress that these people want to create. And as the civil rights movement was going on, this was not something that people were talking about positively. People were not talking about, oh my God, Black people, want equality, and Black people do not want to sit on the back of the bus or be required to give up their seat to white people. And I love this for them. Go, Black people, go. I hate segregation, right? That was not what the fuck was happening. So even other Black people who are not a part of the civil rights movement, were not necessarily supporting and loving and so for the civil rights movement. So think about this. You're a young adult coming into the world. You're seeing all of this chaos, and you're hearing and being fed all of these things about what this is going to do to our country and how this is going to ruin things in our country. What is being communicated to you? Progress and the natural order of things is going away. Progress is a threat. Progress is a threat to the rightful way of things. Progress is a threat to the way that things should be done. Progress is a threat to power. Progress is a threat to blah, 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 blah. That is when Make America Great Again started. And I'm not talking necessarily about the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I'm talking about the civil rights movement that was going on while this person was growing into a young man. The conversation and the discourse around the civil rights movement and it being a terrible, horrible thing is what started this. The country is being ruined. Terrible things are happening. And we know that this is not someone who liked the Civil Rights Act because he did not follow the Civil Rights Act in terms of his own properties and refusing to rent to Black people, right? This is something that's very apparent in the way that he spoke of the Central Park Five, now known as the Exonerated Five. I believe, did he call for them to be killed? Is that what he said? This is what terrible things should happen to these young Black men who are innocent? This is the energy. This is the vibe. Donald Trump represents everything that was alive. Well, not everything, but represents a specific thing that was alive in America in 1946. All of that Cancerian energy, home, 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 our home. Emphasis on our home because it's in the 11th house. So this is somebody who grew up in community, who grew up with a life that was focused on community, a life that was focused on public image, a life that was focused on we need to have high friends in high places. And the high friends in high places, we're talking a lot of shit about the progress that was taking place. Okay? Ooh, this is so fucking good. I did not get this deep into the chart when I was doing the analysis. I'm telling y'all, I have been avoiding this freaking chart. And I don't have to do Kamala's because I already did Kamala's, even though I probably would have a lot more to say now. But I'll leave my Kamala interpretation up as it were. And I'm going to look at the time. Oh my God. Okay, this video might be 2 hours. It might be 2 hours, but it's good, you guys. It's good. We're having a good time, right? I think we're having a good time. Okay. So my music stopped and I didn't even fucking notice. That's how you know that I'm in the zone, girl. That's how you know I'm in the zone. Okay, I need my music back. I need my music back. Hold on. I need my music back. Okay. All right, healing frequency is going in my ears. So we have this young man who is growing up in a racist whatever, okay? Racist family environment, yes, but also racist community environment. That Cancer energy, Mercury being how I think, Venus being my relationships with people, all being in Cancer, this to me is focused on family, not just mother, but family, the family unit. So the family unit and the community are linked. Family unit, Cancer energy, community, 11th house. These are linked because we've got Cancer that's intercepted in the 11th house. Saturn is also in Cancer there in the 11th house, and Saturn can represent the father, the role that the father plays in our lives. Oh my goodness. And because Saturn is there in Cancer, if we're looking to learn more about the father, we can look at that Taurus 10th house, we can look at the sun, of course, because that also represents the father. And we can also look at the 4th house because Saturn is there in Cancer. So everything that I said about Scorpio with mother is also there for that father energy as well, but it manifests in a very different way. So, okay. The point is what? Family and community are linked. Us versus them is what I get from this. Us, who we are, our family. We are America. We are the American dream. We are who this country was built for. He's wrong. And I'm going to prove it like in 5 seconds. Oh my God. This is like the perfect build-up for me. Oh, this is so fucking good. Family is who we are. We are the family. We are America. Make America great again. USA, right? Who is threatening our family? Who is threatening our community? Who is threatening our American dream? People trying to rise up who have no business rising up. People trying to create equality who have no business trying to create equality. People trying to sit at the same counter as me to eat their fucking lunch who have no business sitting at the same counter as me to eat their fucking lunch. Like, stupid shit. I'm sorry. Sometimes, you ever think about racism and how, like, racism is just really stupid? Like, like, I'm sorry, that's silly. That's silly, Bookie. Like, I know that it's traumatizing. I know that there are effects on it, you know, for generations to come. But at some point you have to look at this shit and just say, like, bitch, that's silly. I'm so sorry. That's really silly, actually, for you to be so pressed over a seat at a counter, bitch. Like, get serious. Okay, so we've dived into DJT. Now we're gonna talk about the Civil Rights Act. Ooh, yes. Okay. I love history. I love United States history. Civil Rights Act. Now, I looked up 2 dates for the Civil Rights Act. And the reason why I looked up 2 dates for the Civil Rights Act is because when I looked up the first date, which is, I believe, July 2nd of 1964, I looked at the energy of it and I said, no, this isn't what they're trying to tell me. So I was super duper like guided throughout this entire process, looking up different dates and looking up different energies. And as I was in it, sometimes I would look at a date for something, like we're going to look at the Emancipation Proclamation, which is, you know, the Abraham Lincoln being like, slavery is over, motherfuckers. Basically, not exactly, but you know, that's like the vibe, right? We're going to look at that. And I had that same experience, but we're not there yet. So, Civil Rights Act, it's 1964. The Civil Rights Act was technically signed into law by the president on July 2nd of 1964. But I looked at those dates and I said, that's not what I need. I need something different. So I looked up not just when it was signed into law, but I looked up something else. I don't remember what exactly I was looked up, but it told me when it got passed in the Senate. So the Civil Rights Act of 1964 got passed in the Senate, which had a Democratic majority, in June 19th of 1964. And on June 19th of 1964, the sun was in Gemini. Kamala Harris is a Gemini rising. The moon was in Libra. Kamala Harris is a Libra sun. And it transitioned into Scorpio by the nighttime, which is very interesting because what did we talk about in that part 1 video? Scorpio is, I'm going to look at what's not working. I'm going to look at what needs to go, and I am going to kill it off like a phoenix. I'm going to rise from the ashes. That's the energy. That's the vibe. So you've got the moon in Libra, which is ruled by Venus retrograde in Gemini, which is really interesting because what is a retrograde? A retrograde is a time for reflection. Pause, bitch. Do you see what I see? What is Saturn in? What sign is Saturn in? June 19th, 1964. Saturn is in Pisces, bitch. Saturn is in Pisces, bitch. What the fuck did we spend our time talking about in the part 1 video? Saturn in Pisces, she gets down, she don't play. Ooh, I love this bitch. I love Saturn in Pisces. And I don't have Saturn in Pisces. Natally, I have Saturn in Taurus, which I like. I like my Saturn really good. I like Saturn. Me and Saturn go together real bad because I'm a Capricorn moon, period. That's not the point. Focus. The point is Saturn in Pisces is a real bitch, and she's always been a real bitch, a real down bitch. Saturn in Pisces, I see you, and I love you, and I salute you. Bitch, you get me, and I get you. And by the end of this video, they're gonna put some respect on your name. Okay? Saturn is a fucking Pisces. What does Saturn in Pisces represent? Saturn in Pisces represents spiritual motherfucking justice. I forgot about the Saturn in Pisces thing. Y'all, I forgot why I pulled these up. Because I forgot what the fuck I was doing. This was like 2 days ago, okay? What did I tell y'all in the first video? I think I said, I feel like I'm not in the physical realm. I don't understand how it's November 11th right now. It's also 11/11 while I'm recording this, which I fucking love. Like, I have no idea how it's the 11th of November right now. I feel like you do not exist in this time-space reality. I literally feel like I'm in the spiritual realm, you guys. So I'm doing my best, and I'm doing a very good job. Like, ooh, bitch, you're so good at this. I agree. Okay. Focus, focus, brain, focus, brain, focus, brain. Sometimes you just have to have a little singing and dance break because you just get a little bit excited, and sometimes you just have to take a little break from all of the hard work that you're putting your brain through, right? Okay. Focus. The sun is in Gemini, the moon is in Libra, Virgo, Venus is retrograde in Gemini. What is Venus? What is retrograde? Retrograde is an opportunity for reflection. So with Venus retrograde in Gemini, we're reflecting. What are we reflecting on? We're reflecting on the conversations that we have. We're reflecting on the things that we believe. And we're reflecting on the things that we teach, which is really interesting because, Natalie, didn't you say that I believe is like 9th house energy? It's like Sagittarius energy. Yes, this is true. But Sagittarius and Gemini are sister signs, sister. And so basically what that means is that sister signs are two signs of the two, fuck. Come on. I feel like I'm on like a fucking medical television show, and I'm like zapping my fucking brain. Like, stay with me. Do not go anywhere. What did they say? Fuck. They were like, do not leave me. Stay with me. Okay. I need 10 of Effie in my fucking brain right now. Okay. Focus. Brothers, we must stay focused. All right, bitch, I'm focused. I'm here. Okay. Venus retrograde in Gemini. Gemini and Sagittarius are sister signs. They are two sides of the same coin. So they're going to share a lot of characteristics. Gemini energy, 3rd house energy. These are the things that we learn in our immediate environment. Gemini energy and 3rd house energy is kind of like the shit that we experience from ages 0 to 7 or 8 when our subconscious mind is just completely open, and every single thing that we experience and every single thing that we are seeing, we are taking it as face value. It is getting stored in our subconscious mind, and those are the stories that we will tell for the rest of our lives unless we deliberately heal, shift, and change them, right? So when we see Gemini energy, we're seeing ideas that we have held for a very long time, ideas that we probably have been born into in a sense, right? Because if they're an idea that I'm going to be exposed to from the ages of 0 to 8. I'm probably going to be exposed to those ideas through my siblings, through my elementary school, through whatever's going on in my home environment. These are all third house themes, Gemini things. Gemini energy, third house energy is I learn, I communicate, I think, I learn. It's an exchange of ideas that happens. Sagittarius energy, ninth house energy is higher learning. Sagittarius energy is when I go away to college and I have all of these realizations about, oh my God, they never told me this in high school and blah, 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 right? So, okay. We have Venus in Gemini, which we are interpreting for these purposes to be, these are the way that things have always been. This is what we've always believed. This is what we've always discussed. This is what we have always decided. However, Venus is retrograde. Venus is retrograde in Gemini. What is a retrograde? A retrograde is a period of reflection. It's time for us to take that back. It's time for us to do a double take. It's time for us to ask ourselves a question again. So Venus is our relationships with other people. Have I been talking about Mercury? No, I've been talking about Gemini. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Venus is our relationships with other people, our relationships with other races, our beliefs about the relations between white people and black people, right? Venus is in Gemini retrograde. So we are reflecting as a country on June 19th, 1964. We are reflecting about the relationships between black people and white people. We are challenging and going over the ways that we have been taught, the ways that things have been done, and the laws that have been in effect. And what do we also have going on? Saturn, authority, government. In Pisces, what is Saturn in Pisces? Spiritual motherfucking justice, bitch. And then that is also retrograde. What is retrograde? A period of reflection. Let's look over this. Let's look at what we did. Let's look at what's working. Let's look at what maybe needs a tune up. So we've got spiritual support and spiritual forces. And we've got a reflection of what's going on in terms of relations between black people and white people in the country. Bada bing, bada boom. The civil rights bill gets passed in the Senate. And then in a couple of fucking weeks, the president is going to sign off on that motherfucker. And boom, Civil Rights Act is passed. And race relations in the United States are forever changed. Some people do not like this game. Some people do not like this experience. Everybody is not on board with this. Everybody does not want this. Everybody does not desire this. What are the kind of people who do not want this? What are the kind of people who do not desire this? The people that Donald Trump is growing up around. He's hearing them have conversations about this. He's hearing them have conversations about how they don't like this. He's hearing them have conversations about how they don't want this. This is going to ruin our country. Change is very interesting. We looked at that fourth house cusp of DJT, right? We looked at that scorpionic energy of that fourth house cusp. Now, Scorpio is the phoenix, right? Like we talked about in part 1 of the video. They are going to burst into flames. They're going to burn into ash, and then they're going to be born again through the fucking ashes. Scorpio is all about change. Pluto is all about transformation. But a wound that a lot of Scorpios can have is they fucking hate change. It's fixed sign energy, which is interesting. Scorpio being fixed sign energy, along with Aquarius being fixed sign energy. A fixed sign is something that does not change. It does not move, right? Scorpio and Aquarius being fixed signs, they kind of like embody the energy of the phrase, the only constant is change. They are signs that are meant to be consistently changing and improving. Then you have fixed signs like Taurus, which just doesn't fucking change in its earth. And that's why they talk about Taurus people being stubborn as fucking bulls. A Taurus is not going to move unless it wants to move. A Taurus is not going to be influenced by bullshit. Taurus is where I have strong values. This will not change. So, okay. We gotta tie it all together, bring it around town. Okay, so We've got DJT, who's growing up, watching and observing all of this change that is taking place. That Scorpio wound on the cusp of the fourth house, there's all of this change that is going on, and this change is dangerous. There's all of this change that is going on, and this change is unsafe. There's all of this talk of growth and expansion and progress, and this is a threat to us. This growth and this expansion is not safe. Hold on. This growth and expansion is not safe. This growth, do you hear those sirens? Oh, I don't know if you can hear those sirens, but there's an alarm. There's an ambulance. It's 4:21 in the morning. I hear you, spirit. Okay. This growth and expansion is not safe. This growth and expansion is not okay. This growth and expansion will end us. This growth and expansion will take from us. These people want equality. If they enter the workforce, there will be less for us. If they get paid more, there will be less for us. If they blah, 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 there will be less for us. Not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. Fear, 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 right? The same shit that the M ever gets on stage and talks about and spews out of his trap. These are the things, the conversations that were being had in 1960 motherfucking 4 and before that, right? And after that too, right? So you guys are seeing the pattern of behavior, but guess what also happened? The act was passed. The law was passed. So that makes the people who hated civil rights what? Losers. 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 All of that for nothing, Buki. All of that for nothing. All of that for nothing. It's almost as if DJT is reliving, and this is not funny, reliving that childhood trauma of progress in the United States. Reliving that trauma of being powerless, that trauma of feeling powerless to opportunity. And that probably would have been a really big deal as somebody who's becoming an adult and moving into the workforce or some sort of independence. I don't know his story. I don't know his life story. I don't know what was going on. So I can't speak to that based on fact, but this is just what's coming to me and what's making a lot of sense for me. So somebody who is stepping into a position of power, this story of powerlessness, this threat really triggers that childhood experience of I'm not going to have enough. There's not going to be enough for me. I can't succeed. I have to take from other people in order to succeed. I have to block the success of others in order to succeed. But you still lost. Loser! And so what I'm really seeing here is a greater fucking picture of Kamala Harris being the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in a person. Kamala Harris doing what the Civil Rights Act of 1964 did to DJT all over again. And it's not really about Kamala anymore. We're now starting to talk about the future of the United States. But pause, because there's a little bit more to say here. So June 19th, 1964, we have to talk about the civil rights movement, and I'm gonna make it as brief as I can. So, civil rights movement is happening. Neptune is in Scorpio while the civil rights movement is happening. I don't know when Neptune moved out of Libra, but it's very interesting. Neptune was in a water sign during this time, and right now Neptune is in a water sign again. Neptune is in Pisces. So, okay, pause it, get our thoughts together. June 19th, 1964 is not when the Civil Rights Movement started. The Civil Rights Movement was going on for a very long time. It's not even fair to say that the Civil Rights Movement started in the 1950s, even though that's like technically the right answer. But it's not fair to give that answer because the Civil Rights Movement has been going on since 1776 and before, right? But for our purposes, we'll say that it started in the 1950s. So there's years of civil rights activism that is happening during this time leading up to 1964. There's years of civil rights activism that is happening. Like we talked about, did we talk about that? Damn it. I had done another recording, I don't remember. Long story short, the civil rights movement was a decentralized movement. That means you cannot kill a movement that does not have one official leader. That is one of the most brilliant things that the people, the leaders of the civil rights movement did. It was not orchestrated deliberately. It was orchestrated by the spiritual fucking realm. Why was it orchestrated in the spiritual realm? First of all, because the civil rights movement was spiritual warfare. Oh, bitch, we get to talk about my favorite thing in the world. I love this shit so fucking much. Okay. So the civil rights movement was what I would consider to be real life spiritual warfare. I'm going to talk about exactly what that means, and it's not some woo woo bullshit. It's really real, and it's really good, and it's really amazing, and it's really like my whole favorite thing in the entire fucking world, which I love history. Okay. So we're going to get there in a second. Now, civil rights movement was a spiritual thing. It was orchestrated in the spiritual realm. And God, I feel like there was other points there. But fuck it, let's get into my favorite part. Anyway, so a couple of years ago, I had the pleasure of driving through the South of America. And as I drove through the South, I stopped by many historical fucking sites. And this is a really great thing about traveling during a global pandemic. Nobody was there but me. So it got to be me, my spirit guides, my angels, and my ancestors, and the energy of the fucking land, and, a couple different plaques here and there. So the first place that I stopped was Birmingham. No, it was not. The first place that I stopped was actually Little Rock, Arkansas, which is home to the Little Rock Nine, which were 9 young women in high school. I think that if you are a civil rights leader and of high school age, because I really wouldn't call Ruby Bridges a young woman. She's a little adorable baby girl. Well, she's older now. Anyway, if you are in high school and you are being the first group of black girls to go to an all-white fucking school and you are facing stupid, dumb motherfuckers screaming and shouting profanities at you every single day that you go to school, you get to be a young fucking woman, okay? So the Little Rock Nine are these 9 amazing young women who are the first to integrate into a white high school. And just being there, I've been to the school multiple times. Every single time I drive through Arkansas, I stop in Little Rock and I go there and I receive downloads and I just kind of pay my respects to the event and the energy. And it's just fucking crazy to actually really think about. I have been there. My feet have stepped foot there. I stood where not just the girls stood, which is what I thought of when I was there, but I stood where those stupid losers also stood. You're losers, Buki. Like, baby, you're on the losing team. And you've been on the losing team since 1776. Because the conclusion that I'm going to come to, the conclusion that I'm really building up to, is that America is actually a progressive country. And America was always a progressive country. And America was always going to be a progressive country. And this video is now... oh my God, it's like basically 2 hours, you guys. Okay, maybe we'll go for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Fuck it. if you're here and you're listening to this, then you're listening to it. And honestly, I'm a girl that you want to listen to. I'm a girl that you want to hang out with. I'm a girl that you want to fucking receive knowledge and insight and downloads from. So we're going to go until I can't go anymore at this fucking point. There might be a part 3, but not right now because it's really now just starting to get good. And I didn't spend all that time looking at DJT in order to not talk about the shit that I really give a fuck about, right? Okay. Breathe, 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 mama. Okay. So I drive through Little Rock, Arkansas every single time. I love the Little Rock Nine. I love that high school. They were like renovating it. I've never gone actually inside, but being outside, and they have like, just things to like commemorate the event. And then they have like a preserved gas station across the street from the high school, and it's just really fucking dope. I love history, right? So boom, you have the Little Rock Nine. And then so I went there, and then I ended up, the first time that I traveled across and I stopped in Little Rock, it wasn't on purpose. I was driving through Arkansas, and then I saw like the freeway sign, and it was like Little Rock this way. And I was like, Little Rock? I was like, I know Little Rock. How do I know Little Rock? Little Rock, like the Little Rock Nine? Like what? And so then I looked it up, and when I looked it up, I was like, oh, bitch, like, we have to fucking go. What do you even mean? So, as I'm on the way to Chattanooga, Tennessee for something, I swing by Little Rock, and it's fabulous and it's inspiring, and I cried. And that's some of the stuff that's on my Instagram story, which one day my my personal Instagram is either going to go public or I'm going to upload the videos. It doesn't matter. Move on. We're not running out of time, but I said this at the beginning. I want this shit to not take forever and a day, right? So I go to Little Rock, Arkansas. Fabulous. And that like puts me into it, bitch. Like, oh, I need to see everything pertaining to history, pertaining to Black history, I can't even say that I really love United States history. I don't hate United States history. Well, there are, of course, some things that I don't agree with. But I love Black United States history because I'm conceited. Because I'm vain. Okay. So, keep going. I traveled all throughout the South. My second time driving across the United States, I end up going and stopping in Tulsa. I think I didn't stop in Tulsa the first time, but the second time around, I stopped in Tulsa. And I ended up being in Tulsa for a couple of weeks. I did see Black Wall Street, which was fabulous. And I ended up going to Birmingham, Alabama. Yes, I stayed in Memphis, Tennessee, and blah, 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 but let's skip. I ended up staying in Birmingham, Alabama, which, what the fuck didn't happen in Birmingham, Alabama, right? I have been to the jail that Martin Luther King wrote the letters from Birmingham from. And oh my God, why am I crying? One thing about her, she's gonna cry. Whew. I went to the jail that Martin Luther King wrote the letters from Birmingham jail from, at, inside of, whatever. So I went there, and one thing about being in Birmingham, ooh, the energy feels like shit, girl. The energy feels like shit. The energy of Birmingham feels like slavery is still happening, bitch. Like, it's unlike anything that I've ever felt. I've been to New Orleans. New Orleans has a very magical energy to me. It feels supernatural. I have been to different places all over the fucking world. Nothing feels like Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama feels like the entire thing needs a fucking smoke cleansing. Birmingham, Alabama feels like it needs an exorcism. Birmingham, Alabama was really the one place that I truly felt unsafe as a Black woman traveling by herself. I literally had a nightmare while I was in Birmingham, Alabama, that the spirit of white supremacy was like attacking me, and there was nothing I could do. And I was like trying to call on Archangel Michael, and it was just like nothing is coming to save you. Like fucking terrified me, bitch. It was like the very end of my last trip across the country. It was intense. And I'm not saying that I would never go back to Birmingham. I loved Birmingham, Alabama. I learned so much in Birmingham, Alabama. I was fucking activated like nothing else while I was in Birmingham, Alabama. So like I fuck so heavily with Birmingham, Alabama, but I'm just being honest, the energy of the place feels you can't even just say that it feels like shit. It feels energetically dense. It feels heavy. It feels energetically heavy, and it's like something that you can feel weighing you down. So anyway, I'm driving through Birmingham, and Birmingham is brilliant. And the reason why Birmingham is brilliant is because every single place that you drive in Birmingham is a fucking historical site. More specifically, every single church that you drive past in Birmingham, Alabama is a historical site. And I'm not just saying, oh my God, history happened here. I'm saying there's a fucking plaque outside of that goddamn building that says this is a historical site. This is a historical site. And it is so amazing to see. And as I'm looking up different places to go and going to these different places and learning about these different things and seeing these different things, it fucking hits me. All of this is happening inside churches. Why is all of this happening inside churches and not inside of homes? Why are the leaders of the civil rights movement meeting inside of churches and not inside of homes? Oh my God, it was an epiphany from God. The civil rights movement was a movement that was led by religious figures, not because the civil rights movement was only something that was for religious people, but because the civil rights movement was funded by the spiritual motherfucking realm. Do you hear what I'm saying? It clicked for me in a way that has since completely fucking changed me, has empowered me, has emboldened me. The civil rights movement was a spiritual fucking movement. The civil rights movement was God, the angels, and the ancestors saying enough, was people who were ready, willing, and eager to receive guidance and to receive support and to receive next right steps. People who were willing to believe, people who were willing to have faith, people who were willing to give their faith up to a higher power. That's Neptune in Scorpio energy. Scorpio is power. Neptune is spiritual. It was a spiritual fucking power movement. It was a movement that was rooted in spiritual motherfucking power. And so you're learning about all of these things, the little girls who died. I also went to the church of the little baby girls who were at church, and their church was bombed and they died. Fuck. Everything makes me cry. Of course it makes you cry. It's sad. I went there and I saw, the like, I think you could describe them as like headstones and things like that. I actually have pictures. I should have pulled up my pictures to show you guys, but that's okay. Maybe another time. We'll probably end up talking more about this. Fuck, we're going to have to talk more about this because we haven't even talked about the Emancipation Proclamation, you guys. We're not done. There will be a part 3. There will be a part 3, apparently. Okay, so I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm at the place where they bombed the church. Why did you bomb the church where the little girls were? Why would you do that? It wasn't an attack on religion. It wasn't an attack on Black religion. It's because they were gathering in the church. Why, when Black people were experiencing enslavement, were they not able to read or able to gather in groups? Because when you gather in groups, you organize. Because when you're literate, you can read, and you can also read the law that says you are free. Educated people fight back. Educated people stand up for themselves. Educated people know how to determine and make choices in their own best interest. And so education is the greatest threat to somebody who wants to take your power away from you. Which is why the plan, the idea, and the concept of dismantling the already problematic Department of Education just does not fly with me, not even a little bit. So, what do you have? You have bombings at homes of people, black people, moving into white neighborhoods who aren't quote unquote welcome, getting bombed out of their homes. You have bombings that are happening in churches, not just because I hate black people. The bombings are happening in the churches because the churches are where the people are meeting. And the people are meeting in the fucking churches because the presence of the Lord is here. It's a gospel song. I feel it in the atmosphere. The presence of the Lord is here, and I'm going to get my blessing right now. My favorite civil rights leader is Reverend Shuttlesworth. I learned about him when I visited Birmingham, Alabama for the first time. And this man had so much, he was a Pisces like me. He also had a Sagittarius moon. He had so much faith and he had so much courage. You hear those sirens? Do you hear those sirens? He had so much faith and he had so much courage, and he was powerfully influencing his people. And one night he was protesting and he was resisting and he was leading and he was organizing and doing all this amazing stuff. And this is, Birmingham was being bombed so much that they were calling it Bombingham, right? So all of this is taking place, and it's Christmas night of, I think, 1956, 1955, something. It's like the 1950s. I'm pretty sure. Because this is before the Civil Rights Act is passed, for sure. So it's Christmas night, December 25th, for sure. And he's asleep in his church. And his church is bombed. And the people from the neighborhood, the local people from the neighborhood, his church members come out and they are prepared for the worst. He's asleep in his church. His church has been bombed. It's over. And like a real life fucking superhero, Reverend Shuttlesworth emerges from the goddamn rubble. And he's alive. Of course he's fucking alive. He's anointed. He's called. He's protected. How the fuck could these people whose homes, whose churches, whose lives were being bombed and torn apart, who were being assaulted and persecuted and harassed, how the fuck could these people have carried on? Their ability to hold their vision, all of this shit is coming from the goddamn spiritual. All of this shit is coming from the motherfucking spiritual. I remember being in Birmingham, Alabama, and reading about this story and just my mind being fucking blown. I stood there where that happened in real fucking life, no CGI. I could feel the energy of the place, of the space, of the experience, and it empowered me. It freed me. It was like a moment, a conversation, and an epiphany, a moment between me and my spirit guides and my angels and my ancestors, where I don't think that my house is going to get bombed, but the conversation was, if somebody bombed your fucking house for this work that you're doing, for what you're called to do, for your people, for your beliefs, for your desire to lead, which at the time I did not have that desire to lead. Yes, I was doing political work when I was 16 years old, and then I got super disappointed because of, not great verdicts when I was a senior in high school, and I said I'm done with politics and I don't want to do it because it's always so fucking disappointing. So I put my political desires to the side and I said that I'm not gonna fucking do it. And then I traveled to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then got kind of addicted to traveling across the country in my car, making money along the way. And then I fucked around and ended up in Birmingham, Alabama. And then I learned about Reverend Shuttlesworth, and the guides, angels, ancestors, and universe said, if somebody bombed your motherfucking house, would you get the fuck up the next day and still do the work that you're doing? And I said, abso-fucking-lutely. And it was like a moment. It was a moment that fucking changed me. It was a moment that shifted me. It was a moment when I realized something about me, when I realized my own personal fucking power, when I realized the power of God, when I realized the power of the word of God, but not just the words on the page, the power of a personal connection, your heart, your soul, a personal connection to the other side, a personal connection to the spirit world, and how when we work together, there is nothing that we cannot motherfucking do. I do not care about the results of a goddamn election. I do not give a fuck about who doesn't like it. I don't give a fuck about who doesn't want it. I don't give a fuck about who fights against it. I don't give a fuck about what a bitch has to say online, on Twitter. I do not care. I know from experience what the fuck happens when I stand in my truth. I know from experience what the fuck happens when I show up and I lead. I know from experience what the fuck happens when I listen to what I feel in my heart and in my soul and in my fucking internal knowing. I know what happens. It was like a light bulb turned on that will never be turned off. And the Civil Rights Act is not just something that happened. Look at these dates. 1776, Declaration of Independence, boom. 1863. 1862, 1861. I don't remember the exact year. I have to look it up. Come on. 1862, 1776, 1862, 1964. 1776, Declaration of Independence. 1862, the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation is released. It's officially signed into law by Abraham Lincoln on January 1st of 1863. 62, 63 of 1800, Emancipation Proclamation. 100 years later, 1964, the Civil Rights Act. 2008, Barack Obama is elected President of the United States of America. 2020, Kamala Harris is elected Vice President of the United States of America. Progress, progress, progress. The country was founded on inclusivity. What does it say? What does it say? Hold on. Let me look it up. What does it say? 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 What am I looking for? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Declaration of Independence. Take us back to 1770 motherfucking 6. July 4th, 1776, while the sun was in Cancer, home, our home, and the moon was in Aquarius, ruled by Uranus. All about inclusivity. The founding fathers came together and said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. What is self-evident? That means I don't have to explain it. That means it's obvious. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by who? By their creator, with certain unalienable rights. There are certain rights that human beings have been given by God that cannot be taken away from them, and this is self-evident. They may not have known it in 1776 when they were writing those words and they were signing that motherfucking document, but on a goddamn spiritual level, during that Cancer sun with moon in motherfucking Aquarius, when they signed the Declaration of Independence, they were defining what would be the United States of America as a place of equality. It is woven in the fabric of this motherfucking country. And from 1776 to 1860, I'm shaking. From 1776 to 1862. Is it 1862 or 63? I keep fucking that one up because it's like hyphenated in my mind. To 1964 to 2008 to 2000 motherfucking 20. It just becomes more and more and more and more and more fucking true. That was an intention. The Declaration of Independence was an intention. And you can talk about it wasn't made with me in mind. But look at what your creator has been ordaining and working on. And why hasn't it gotten any better, any faster? Well, why don't you ask every single person who has gotten on social media based on the election results and tweeted or recorded themselves saying, well, I don't have any rights anymore. Why don't you ask them? Why it hasn't happened more quickly? Why it hasn't happened more faster? Why there isn't more progress? It is there and it is available. And it is up to you to take personal power. It is up to you to create that freedom for yourself. That is the American fucking dream. It's not something that's handed to you by somebody saying, we're gonna be giving you, what's that called? Reparations. It is something that you individually step into. It is something that you individually create for yourself. It is something that you step up and claim. And that is what the leaders of the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s did. They stepped up and they claimed what has already been fucking decided is self-evidently theirs. unalienable, endowed by their fucking creator, the Most High God. So what am I saying? I'm saying I don't give a fuck who did or didn't win the election. I'm saying the United States of America has been a progressive country, has been a country that is becoming more and more and more inclusive. I'm also saying I'm not letting this country die before I get what is owed to me and my family who built the fucking economy for free and got psychologically traumatized and damaged in exchange. I'm saying I don't love and agree with every single thing that we have done. And simultaneously, I'm saying my pronouns are USA. I'm saying I feel patriotic as fuck. I'm saying I believe in the American dream. I'm saying I have 1,000,001 other things, but it's 2:22 on my timer, so it's actually the perfect time for me to stop. There will be a part 3 to this because we didn't even get into all of the everything about the everything. We didn't even talk about the Civil War. Y'all, we didn't even talk about the Civil War. I'm sorry. You know that I always have a lot to say. You know that I always have a lot to say. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know if you've started seeing any patterns of signs, patterns of energy, because I want to talk more about that. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know your feedback, as long as there's no pro-fascist bullshit. But what I really want to end this video off by saying is that I do not fear that this will turn into some sort of fascist anything, because that is not what this was created by. What I'm saying is, even though I can see dangerous patterns and instability and insatiable needs for power that are never satisfied, even though I can see that, I also know me. I also know my people. I also know my history, and I know the history of this country. And just like we saw with 1776, just because it was like the American Revolution versus the British government, right? Big guy, little guy. The United States is a country for the underdog. And that's why when you see Donald Trump giving his hand signal, what hand signal does he give, you guys? It's not the Nazi salute. What hand signal does he give? Fuck, fuck, fuck. Too many goddamn. This was when he lost the lawsuit against that woman. Why is he giving the Black Power sign? The Black Power sign that was popularized during the Civil Rights Movement. Because you want to be a bad black bitch so bad. You think that you're the underdog, but you're not. We'll talk more about that, because we haven't even talked about the lawsuit. Oh my God. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to discuss. But this is it. This is it. This is it. This is it. We have to stop. We have to stop. There's going to be a part 3. There's going to be a part 3. There's going to be a part 3. But what I really just need you guys to understand is that this is an inclusive nation. Even though fucked up shit has happened. This overarching, look at the big picture. Stop thinking small. Stop focusing on the little details. Look at the big picture. It's an inclusive country that is becoming better and better and better with time. But it's a democracy. Democracy doesn't work without participation. You have a civic duty to show up and participate in democracy. You don't participate, you don't get democracy. There's so many people who are not participating in the co-creation of their own life, not empowered in their own life. They don't vote with empowerment. They don't show up with empowerment. You don't get to look at the results of an election and say, they're taking away all my rights. I don't have any rights anymore. When people fucking died. People really fucking died fighting for those rights. People really fucking died before those laws were signed. People nearly fucking died before those laws were signed. You don't give up that easily. That's not democracy. So everything that's happening with this, like I talked about in that first video, it's all coming to reflect something back to you. Whether you're in the US or not, shout out to all my bookies who are watching and just, either interested because they are impacted in one way or another, or just because they're interested in me, which is great and fabulous. But it's all reflecting something back to you. How many people talk about, I can't wait for this to be over so I never have to deal with this and I never have to spend my time being aware of what's going on politically in the world again. You're missing the fucking point. The point is, pay the fuck attention so the shit doesn't happen again. The point is, be fucking involved so it doesn't happen again, because that's the only way that it doesn't happen again. Is if you pay attention and is if you show up. One thing that DJT does a great job of is getting attention. Hello, Leo rising. And even though the intention of that attention might be to hurt, kill, and destroy, how you respond to a trigger is your responsibility. And you can decide to rise the fuck up. And I already know that you are. Because that's who we are. And that's what we've come to do. So we didn't talk or focus a lot on Kamala in this video, which wasn't really my plan. We will do it more in that part 3. But it's about more than Kamala. It's about everything that has gone on from 1776 to now. It's about your fucking right and responsibility. Pluto in Capricorn. Responsibility of government to serve us, and responsibility of us to show up for ourselves in order to create a government that shows up and works for us. That's Pluto, Capricorn, Aquarius, moon fucking energy. Okay? There's a mutual responsibility. The results of the election, the shit going on in the Supreme Court, blah, 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 blah. It's not just on the politicians who didn't do a good enough job and they should have spent more time talking to the working class people and da, 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 da. It's not hard to get into politics. I was doing it when I was 16 years old. It's not difficult to get politically involved. The people who have think pieces and tweet threads but don't have a sign saying vote for me in the fucking bio is bullshit. Do something. And I am doing something because this is a business, not a hobby. Okay? Okay. To end this off, you want more help, you want more support, I've got a free resource library. It's linked in the description. I highly fucking recommend it. Meditations, journals, workbooks, EFT tapping scripts. to help you shift the way that you think. Because there's a big mindset problem. There's a big focus problem. What you focus on grows and expands. When you focus on the country is shitty and the country has always been shitty, you create more shitty shit. But when you start telling a different story, actually, I live in a progressive nation. You do live in a fucking progressive nation. Oh, Trump won all of the swing states, allegedly. But down the fucking ballot, it's Democrat. President-elect, Republican, down the fucking ballot is Democrat. A win is a win, bitch. How many black women just got elected into the Senate for the first time? Oh, brother. If I could have anybody fighting for me in Washington, D.C., in the motherfucking Senate, I want a black woman. Hallelujah. Fuck it. Maybe certain people did or did not, quote unquote, do their job in the fucking swing states. Doesn't even matter. Because my sister's in the White House. I don't give a fuck about a majority. Because I know that black women have power. Okay? Amen? Focus on the shit that matters. Focus on what the fuck you know to be true. What I know to be true is that historically speaking, when we fight, we win. What I know to be true is that historically speaking, when we are ready for progress, we get it. That is who we are. That is what we do. That is who we've been and what we've been doing since 1776. And I don't know what you came to do. This is a gospel song, but I'm not really talking about praising the Lord, even though, well, yes. I don't know what you came to do. But I came to be the generational curse breaker and generational wealth builder of my family line. I don't know what you came to do. I don't know what you were born to do. But I was born to be the woman who establishes that American motherfucking dream. I was born to be the woman who goes back to the southern states where my ancestors were enslaved and buys property and transmutes the fuck out of energy and gives my ancestors, in a way, a resting place of wealth and safety and security and stability. That is my motherfucking reparations. I don't know what you came to do. In other words, I don't know who the fuck you voted for, and I really don't care. I don't give a fuck who the elect what is. I came to create wealth, safety, security, and stability for me and my people across the United States. I came here to improve education for black and brown children across the United States. I don't give a fuck about who's talking about dismantling what. I don't know what you came to do. I came here to get progress. And I don't have time to entertain anything else because that's bullshit. Lies from the devil's mouth. Lies from the pit of hell. And I don't have time for bullshit. I'm a leader, and leaders lead, no matter what the fuck is going on. And if the leaders who came before me were willing to lead through bombings of their homes, if the leaders who came before me were willing to lead through bombings of their churches, if the leaders who came before me were willing to lead through the most atrocious, terrible, horrible fucking shit, bitch, I'm here. I'm fucking here, and I'm ready. I stay ready so I don't have to get ready. You know that that meme from TikTok? You want to know what a boss looks like, motherfucker, you looking at one. That's how I feel. And that's how you need to feel. Do yourself that favor. When you look in the mirror, what the fuck did you come here to do? Who the fuck are you? What are you called to do? What are you called to create? Not, oh my God, this is what's going on in the news and this is what's going to happen. No, who the fuck are you? What are you called to do? What do you know to be true? Not, this is what might happen and these are all the terrible things. No, leaders don't have time for downward spiral. Leaders lead. Okay? Check out that free resource library. There's some tools in there that are going to help you to shift your focus. If I was you, instead of downward spiraling, I'd be in them workbooks. I'd bust out that journal. That's what I do. And I get great results from it. I'm done. I know I said I was done like 10 minutes ago, but I'm really done now. Okay. I love you. Check out the links in the description. I'm coming back for part 3. I'm coming back to you, baby. Oh my God. Is that an owl? What is that? Looks like an owl to me. Huh, Veterans Day. Is today Veterans Day? Shut up. No, it's not. When's Veterans Day? Girl, please, not now. Is today Veterans Day? Veterans Day 2024. When is Veterans Day? That's so crazy. Not today is Veterans Day, bitch. Not today is Veterans motherfucking Day. Exactly. And that's what the fuck I told her. Exactly, bitch. Exactly. On this Veterans motherfucking Day, pay your goddamn respects to the people who fought for your motherfucking freedoms. And I'm not necessarily talking about the people who committed war crimes. I'm talking about the motherfuckers who stood 10 toes down so you could get in the booth and vote, bitch. Period. Okay, I have to stop screaming. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. People sleeping in this house. Okay, I'm done. Oh, that's so fucking cool. It's 11/11 and it's Veterans Day. Oh, bitch. Y'all are so good. Like, ooh, talk about divine timing. Okay, I need to go to bed. I love y'all. And I hope that you enjoyed it. Give me your feedback. As long as there's no pro-fascist bullshit inside of it, I will just block you. Because we don't have time for losers, actually. I don't have time for pro-fascist bullshit because I don't have time for losers. No time for losers. We are quite literally the champions. It's history, Bookie. It's history. What can I say? Other team been talking shit for hundreds of years, but who still keeps winning the fucking Super Bowl, Bookie? Like... We are the winning team, ho. Like, these are my conversations that I have. We are the winning team, bitch. Like, fuck what you heard. Fuck whatever it is that you're talking about. We are the winning team. Silly. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I love you, and good night. Good morning. Whatever fucking time it is. Okay, I'm really tired. Okay, good night.